The silent growth. Lessons from Japanese bamboo seeds. Success takes time to sprout. Part 1. The mystery beneath the soil. The first bamboo seed was planted in 1947. A fragile thing, no thicker than a grain of rice, buried in dense, unyielding earth, above ground. The world was changing at a dizzying pace, jet engines screaming across newly drawn borders. Televisions flickering to life in living rooms. The first electronic computers humming in secret laboratories. But beneath the soil, nothing, no crack in the earth. No tender shoot straining toward the sun. Just darkness. 5 years passed, then 10. Farmers tending other crops might have given up, assuming the seed was dead. But those who understood bamboo knew the truth, beneath the surface. An invisible network was spreading. A labyrinth of roots coiling tighter with each season, preparing for an explosion that would not come until the time was right. Meanwhile, in a university lab halfway across the world, a psychologist named James Flynn was sifting through decades of IQ test data, frowning at numbers that refused to behave. The tests were standardized, the methods rigorous, yet the scores kept climbing, generation after generation, as if the very definition of intelligence was stretching. It was as perplexing as watching a forest grow overnight. The tests hadn't changed, the people had. Or had they? The conundrum split the scientific community like a fault line. Some argued this was evolution in action, a leap in human cognition. Others whispered about adaptation, that modern minds were simply learning to navigate a world that rewarded new kinds of thinking. But the most unsettling question lingered like a shadow. If we were getting smarter, why did the world feel more fractured than ever? And then, the first signs of a backlash. Reports trickled in from Scandinavia, then the UK, then Japan, places where IQ scores, after decades of steady ascent, had begun to wobble, decline, as if the bamboo, after years of silent growth, had finally broken ground, only to reveal a stalk thinner than expected. We taught them the game. But what if the rules were changing again? Part 2. The hidden roots of intelligence. The bamboo's secret lies in its roots. For years, they spread unseen, drinking nutrients from the soil, building a foundation strong enough to support what comes next. Human intelligence, it turns out, grows the same way, not in a straight line, but in fits and starts, shaped by forces both obvious and invisible. 3 nutrients fed the Flynn Effect's astonishing rise. First, education. The 20th century didn't just teach children to memorize, it taught them to play with abstractions. Where a 19th century schoolchild might recite the capitals of Europe, a modern student diagrams hypothetical trade routes between them, weighing variables like inflation and cultural bias. Standardized tests evolved to measure this new flexibility, rewarding minds that could pivot between logic puzzles and hypothetical scenarios. We didn't get smarter, we got better at the test. Second, technology. The average person in 1950 might encounter a handful of complex machines in their lifetime: a car, a radio, perhaps a factory lathe. Today, our brains navigate a relentless obstacle course of interfaces, algorithms, and nested systems. Every time you toggle between apps, interpret a dashboard, or troubleshoot a printer, You're performing cognitive calisthenics unknown to your great-grandparents. Our tools train us even as we wield them. Third, the silent revolution of nutrition. Iodine-fortified salt, vitamin-enriched flour, proteins once reserved for feast days, now piled on every plate. The effect was most dramatic in developing nations, where IQ scores skyrocketed as stunted bodies and minds finally got the fuel they needed to flourish. But every gain comes with a trade-off. As abstract thinking flourished, ancestral skills withered. The hunter who could track a deer by the faintest disturbance in the underbrush. The seamstress who could draft a pattern from pure geometry. The sailor who navigated by stars. These were not just practical talents, they were entire languages of perception, now fading like untranslated scrolls. Chess masters understand this paradox better than anyone. For centuries, the game was a cathedral of human intuition, where grandmasters could smell a winning move 3 turns before it materialized. Then came the machines. Today's champions don't defeat AI, they mimic it, internalizing its cold logic until their own creativity begins to atrophy. We taught them the game, but the game changed. Part 3. The river finds its banks. In the 20th year, the bamboo finally erupts, 30 feet in a single season. So fast you can almost hear it grow. But the farmers know, this isn't the miracle it seems. The real work happened underground. In the patient dark, IQ scores, too, have stopped their meteoric rise. In Norway, a study of 730.00 conscripts revealed scores inching downward for the first time in history. Similar trends emerged in Denmark, Finland, France. The Flynn Effect, it seemed, had limits. Some blamed technology's double edge. The same devices that trained our brains also fractured our attention spans. Others pointed to education systems straining under standardized testing, teaching children to sprint through hoops rather than wander into undiscovered country. And then there were the darker theories. Had we hit a biological ceiling? Or worse, were we sliding backward? But rivers don't flow in straight lines. They twist, stall, double back on themselves, yet always find a way forward. Human intelligence is no different. Consider the paradox of the reverse Flynn effect. While fluid intelligence, the ability to solve novel problems, may be plateauing. Crystallized intelligence, knowledge accumulation, continues to swell exponentially. The average teenager today understands probabilistic reasoning that would baffle a 1950s physicist. They manipulate digital tools with the unconscious grace of a pianist. They navigate social complexities their ancestors could scarcely imagine. Perhaps intelligence isn't a single towering stalk, but a whole forest growing at different speeds. The bamboo teaches us that growth is not always visible, and not always linear, that what looks like stagnation may be preparation, that some roots must tangle in the dark before they can rise. We taught them the game, and now, they're rewriting the rules. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.